The mind-blowing Zen secret to overcoming laziness. Zen wisdom. Have you ever wondered what could turn a lazy young man into the hero of his own story? Let's explore this magical journey and discover the secret to overcoming laziness and achieving extraordinary things. Rocket sparkles. Once upon a time, there was a young man living in a small village at the foot of a mountain. He was famous throughout the village for his laziness. Every day, he would lie under a tree, taking naps and daydreaming, while others worked hard in the fields and workshops. One day, a wise old monk came to the village and called the young man over. "My son," said the monk, "I have a task for you. I want you to climb that mountain and bring me a feather from the highest peak." The young man looked up at the mountain and sneered. "That's impossible," he said. "I'm too lazy to climb it." The monk smiled and replied, "Ah, but you don't understand. The feather I seek isn't on the mountain. It lies on the other side, in a cave that can only be reached by climbing over the peak." The young man's curiosity was piqued. He had never heard of this mysterious feather before. The thought of such a unique challenge stirred something within him, so he decided to accept the task. The climb was long and arduous. The young man quickly grew tired, sweat pouring down his face, but as he climbed higher, he began to feel a thrill, an excitement he had never felt before. When he finally reached the top, he was exhausted but exhilarated. From up high, the breathtaking landscape stretched before him, giving him a sense of accomplishment he had never known. However, the real challenge still lay ahead. The young man had to descend the other side of the mountain to find the cave where the feather was hidden. The descent was even more dangerous than the climb. He stumbled and fell several times, but he persisted. Driven by the promise of the feather, he pressed on. When he finally reached the cave, there it was, a glowing feather, shimmering in the light filtering through the cave entrance. He picked up the feather and admired its beauty, but then, a new problem arose. How would he climb back over the mountain and bring the feather to the monk? For a moment, he considered giving up, but then he remembered the pride and sense of achievement he had felt when he reached the peak. He knew he had the strength and determination to do it again, and so, the young man climbed back over the mountain, his muscles aching and his lungs burning, but he didn't give up. He pushed himself forward, knowing that he had overcome his laziness and achieved something truly meaningful. When he finally returned to the monk and presented the feather, the monk smiled and said, "Well done, my son. Today, you have learned an important lesson. Laziness is not something to accept or tolerate. It is a challenge to overcome, an obstacle to leap over." The young man nodded. Understanding the wisdom in the monk's words, he realized that he had always had the ability to do great things. But laziness had held him back. Now, he knew he had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle on his path. The monk's lesson: laziness is not something to accept or tolerate, it is a challenge to overcome, an obstacle to leap over. When we push ourselves to reach our goals, even when they seem impossible, we discover a strength and resilience within us that we never knew existed. To overcome laziness, we must challenge ourselves and set ambitious goals. No matter how difficult they may seem, we must push ourselves beyond our limits and persist, even when faced with obstacles and failures. We must also cultivate discipline and consistency in our daily routines. By creating and sticking to a schedule, we can build good habits that help us achieve our goals.